I want to show you guys how to use these steps. All right, we're going to read the steps and we're going to apply it. Now, I've already done a previous video explaining this first example. So what I'm going to do is walk you through these steps and apply it to this actual first part of your homework, number 1. So the very first thing to do is to use 2 of the 3 original equations and get a variable to cancel. All right, if you want to underline that, go for it. You want to highlight it, go for it. But let's go to this first one and let's pick 2 equations and let's get a variable to cancel. So you, by looking at the x's and by looking at the y's and by looking at the z's, what do you feel more comfortable with canceling? The x's, the y's, or the z's?
The x and the y.
Okay, and you know what? This is the beauty about this section. You could pick to cancel out x's with the first 2 equations, or somebody else could pick cancel out the y's with the second 2 equations. There's so many roads to the same place, all right? So step 1 says pick 2 equations and get a variable to cancel, all right? So I'm going to pick the first equation and the second equation, yeah? I want to pick the first and the second, and I want the z's to cancel. All right, and that's just me. You could have picked the first and the third, and you could have gotten the x's to cancel. You could have picked the first and the second, got the y's to cancel. I'm going to pick the first and the second, and I'm going to get the z's to cancel. All right, so how am I going to get this negative 5z to cancel with this guy? I need to change this guy to what?
2. Oh.
To a positive 5, so it'll cancel with the negative 5, right?
Yeah.
So I need to multiply this whole thing by what?
Negative 5.
By a negative 5, okay? So I'm going to put parentheses around the top. I'm going to put a negative 5 out here. I'm going to draw an arrow up here, and I'm going to rewrite it. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. We're talking about x's. Negative 5 times 1 is a negative 5 with the y. Negative 5 times z is positive 5 with the z. Negative 5 times positive 5 is negative 25. Are you with me?
Yeah.
All right. And why did I multiply by negative 5? So I could just rewrite the middle equation, just rewrite it, and the z's will cancel. Here it is, rewritten 3x, exactly the way it is, plus 4y minus 5z's equals 0. Okay, and I am going to combine the 2 lines, combine the 2 equations, and of course those z's cancel. So what do I have left here? I have a negative 7x, I have a negative 1y equals negative 25. Now this, I'm going to box this in, and I am going to label it new equation number 1. And ladies and gentlemen, that is step 1. Okay, let's go back up to the step so we could understand what we just did. Step 1 says to use 2 equations. I used this guy and this guy. And it also says get a variable to cancel. We obviously canceled out the z's, producing what we call new equation number 1. And that's why I boxed it in, I labeled it NE1, new equation number 1. Okay? So that's step 1. Do we understand step 1? Yes. Okay, let's go to step 2. Step 2 says go back to the original. Use the one you have not used. So which one have I not used? I have not used this third one. So I need to use that third one, but let's keep reading before we go back and use the third one. It says, use it and combine it. It should say combine and modify if necessary with any other of the 2 to get the same variable to cancel. Okay, so very important that if you canceled z's on your first step, you better cancel z's again when you use this one that you haven't used. Okay, so let's zoom in right here. We're going to use the one we haven't used, this guy, and we need this 10z to cancel out. So it doesn't matter whether I use this one or that one. Which one do you guys want to use? This top negative z or the negative 5z? Negative 5z, that's pretty cool because we could just multiply this whole thing by 2, right? Okay, so again, it's very important that we label what we're doing. I'm multiplying that middle one by 2. I'm going to rewrite it over here. That's going to be a 6x plus 8y minus 10z equals 2 times 0 is 0. Are you with me? And of course, that third one we haven't used. We have to use it. That's the whole purpose of this step 2. So we're going to have negative 4x, negative 6y, plus 10z equals 14. We just rewrote it. Okay. And now we could combine the lines, and 6 take away 4, that's 2 of those x's. 8y take away 6y, that's positive 2 of those y's. The z's canceled, and 0 plus 14 is 14. Please box this in, and we're going to label this new equation number 2. And that is step 2 of the steps above. So once again, let me just zoom out and reread that step and re-explain it to make sure that everybody's with me. It says go back to the original. We went back to the original. Use the one you have not used. That's this red one. We haven't used it yet. But how are we going to use it? We need to get the same variable to cancel. So over here on the first step, we canceled out z's. I need this z to cancel out. So I just rewrote it. And over here, I modified it to get that z to cancel, producing my new equation number 2. So the whole purpose of the second step is to get new equation number 2 that has the same variable canceled using the one that we have not used. That's what we did. So here's step 1. Here's step 2. It's time for step 3. Step 3 says create a new 2x2 system. Create a new 2x2 system. How? By using new equation number 1, new equation number 2, and then of course solve it. Okay, so let's do that. We're going to take this new equation 1, this new equation 2, and we're going to put them together just to create a new 2x2 system. So here it is. I'm just going to label it new 2x2 system. And what is that new 2x2 system? It's exactly what we have here. Excuse me, COVID, sorry. Negative 7x minus y equals negative 25. 2x plus 2y equals 14. This is my new 2x2 system. Where did I get it from? Here's new equation 1, new equation 2. I just rewrote them together. And now I have a 2-variable, 2-equation system that we could solve with the skills that we learned last week. So let's just focus in on this 2x2. And let's just do what we did last week. How would we solve this? I either want to cancel out x's or y's. What would I cancel? Y's. Y's are nice and easy. How could I get the y's to cancel? Times 2. So again, showing the parentheses, showing the times 2, drawing an arrow, showing my work, nice and neat. Negative 14x, because 2 times negative 7x is negative 14x. 2 times negative y, negative 2y. 2 times negative 25, negative 50. Now the bottom one, I don't have to do anything to it, right? Okay, so I'm just going to draw an arrow and I'm going to rewrite it. 2x plus 2y equals 14. And now that we have modified it so that the y's eliminate, let's do that. Let's combine the lines. And we have a negative 14 plus 2. That is negative 12, and we're talking about x's. We said the y's eliminated. That's the whole purpose of modifying that top equation by 2. And we have equals negative 50 plus 14. Now, if you're like, I think that's negative 36, don't think. Make sure. Get a calculator and go negative 50 plus 14 and make sure that you get negative 36. Because if you mess up on a little sign or one of these numbers, everything's pointless. Everything will end up wrong. So you got to be very, very detailed, very clean with your work. You got to be accurate with your work. Every single step, please use a calculator so you could make sure that you're doing it right. Final step here would be to divide by negative 12, and we will get our answer x equals positive 3. Now, remember, what we're doing here is solving the 2x2 system that we created, which is right here. It was from step 1, new equation 1, which was this one. Step 2, new equation 2. Step 3 was create this new 2x2 system and solve it. So I have one answer. I need the other. What do I do? Plug it in. You guys want to plug it into the top one, the negative 7x, or the 2x plus 2y equals 14? All right, so let me write it out. 2x plus 2y equals 14. Just plugging it into the bottom one. I just rewrote it, but I put parentheses instead of this x. Why? Because I know that x equals 3. So my 3, I'm just going to put it right in there. And now I could solve this equation. I have 6 plus 2y equals 14. We're going to subtract 6. We now have 2y equaling, what is that? 8. Final step, divide by 2, and we have y equals 4.
We did 3, 4, 5 tonight.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have solved the 2x2 system, and that was, again, the whole purpose of this video right here that I'm making, or explanation right here in class, is to show you how to use the steps. Then once you guys know how to use the steps, you'll be able to practice with the steps, and then before you know it, you're not going to need the steps, kind of like riding a bike. You'll know how to do it. You won't need to read through the steps. You'll just flow through this problem. So we did create our new 2x2 system right here. Let me actually highlight it in green. And then we solved it. What did we get? We got the answers 3 and 4. And now we're on to step 4. Step 4 says substitute your answers back into the original. And it doesn't matter which one. You've already used all 3 of them. That's the whole goal of using a system, using all the equations in your system, right? So we have the 3, we have the 4. Let's plug it in to, I don't know, top, middle, or bottom. It's up to you.
Top.
Top, okay. So I have this pretty cool feature right here. Check it out. I could actually just cut it out like that and then just move it over here. It's pretty cool, huh? But anyway, I have my 2 answers right here. My 2 answers are 3 and 4. And I'm going to plug in those answers of 3 and 4 by rewriting that top equation that you guys told me to select. Notice that I don't know the z value, so I actually write it out as z. That's the whole purpose, to solve for z. So we said the x value is 3, so we put a 3 right there. The y value is 4, we'll put a 4 right there. Let's do the math. 2 times 3 is 6. The 4 comes down, the z comes down. We have 6 plus 4, that's 10. 10 minus z equals 5. Final 2 steps. Subtract 10 to get z by itself. Subtract 10. You get negative z equals negative 5. Divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1, and we will get z equals 5. And I think I heard somebody say it. The correct answer is x equals 3, y equals 4, z equals 5 as an ordered triple. The way you're going to type it in on your assessment Friday, open up some parentheses, alphabetical order. X first, y second, z third. This is not in numeric order. This just happened. We got lucky at 3, 4, 5. It has to be according to letters, alphabetical order. X is 3, y is 4, z is 5. X, y, z, ordered triple. So that's our answer. That's what you have to type in, and that's how you get full credit. Now, before you hit enter on your assessment Friday to submit your answer, if you know that your answer, or you think that your answer is 3, 4, 5, but you want to be absolutely sure, what could you do? You could plug it in. Now this does take a while. Use the calculator, write down some numbers. I'm going to do it all in my head right here, explaining it in front of you guys, because you guys could catch me if I make a mistake. But if I were double checking my answers, I would actually plug in a 3 right here, and 2 times 3 is 6. I would write down 6. And then plug in a 4 right there. So I'd have 6 plus 4. What's 6 plus 4? 10. And then take away z, that's 5. So 10 take away 5, is it 5? Yes, it is. So I have checked the first one. Next one, plug in a 3 right there. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. 9 plus 16 is what?
21.
9 plus 16 is 25. And of course I say use a calculator so you don't mess up, right? 25 minus 5 times z. 5 times 5. So you have 25 minus 25 because 5 times 5 is 25. That is 0. Check the second one. Let's go for the third one. Plug in a 3 right there. 4 times 3 is 12, but it's negative. 6 times 4 is 24. So you have negative 24 minus 20. No, negative 12 minus 24. That's negative 36, right? Negative 36 plus 10 times z, that's 50. 10 times 5 is 50. Negative 36 plus 50 is 14. Again, I don't recommend doing it in your head. I would actually Negative 4 times 3, right, negative 12. Negative 6 times 4 is negative 24. 10 times 5 is 50. And then add up those numbers and you should get 14. We have triple checked. We have verified that this is the correct answer. That's what you type in. Now, I want you guys to practice the rest of these right now in class. As you can see, there's definitely not enough space right here. You either write really small, or you might want to rewrite the whole system on a separate sheet of paper in your notebook, or perhaps on the back side, right? Yes, there's only 4 questions to do for homework, but believe me, I mean, this question itself took 15 minutes, right? So it takes a long time. If you want to watch the explanation of this guy, it'll be uploaded on Google Classroom. But I would like you to try these other 3 problems. Now let me tell you this. One of these is going to end up like a nice ordered triple, like this one, 3, 4, 5. It is possible, hint, hint, to get the answer 0. Like x might be 0, right? Don't think that like let's say you were working on solving on step 3, solving your 2x2 system, and let's say the y's canceled, but over here this was a positive 50, and you'd end up with 0 right here. That's okay to get the x answer being 0, all right? Don't think no solution or something like that. Now, there will be 2 special cases. One where maybe you're trying to create your new equation number 1. And let's say on your first step, when you're creating your new equation number 1, you're trying to cancel out z's. But let's say that when you modified it, the x's canceled, the y's canceled, the z's cancel, but the numbers don't. You'd end up with 0 equals negative 25. What would you say there? No solution. If you end up with something impossible like 0 equals 25, you say no solution, and you're done. Actually, you're lucky if that happens, especially on step 1, because you don't have to do all that work, right? It's just a no solution problem. So if you're working through this, like last week, if you're working through a problem and you end up with something impossible like 0 equals negative 25, you say no solution and you're done. Now, let's say you're working through it. Let's say you did step 1, you got your new equation number 1, you went back, you used the one you haven't used, you canceled the same equation or the same variable, you got new equation number 2, and let's say you finally got to your third step over here, your new 2x2 system, and you modify it to cancel out, like we canceled out y's right here. But let's say right here, everything canceled out, not just y's, but let's say the x is also canceled, like if you'd have a positive 14x and a negative 50, let's say everything cancels out, and you end up with 0 equals 0, then what? IMS, infinitely many solutions, all right? So I'm letting you know right now, the above problem is going to work out beautifully. You might want to try that. You'll get 3 answers, x equals something, y equals something, z equals something. And out of these 3 that are left for homework, one of them is going to be an ordered triple, another one's going to be an IMS, and another one's going to be no solution, okay? So I want you to work on the rest of these, the rest of the class, and we're going to continue working on this, solving 3x3 systems all week long. That's all we're doing. Big test Friday, all right? Obviously, last week's stuff is baby stuff compared to this week, right? Last week, 2x2s, right here, 3x3s. So please practice right now.